You know, when a military jet goes down deep behind enemy lines, something incredible happens. It's like this giant, invisible machine just roars to life. So today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a combat search and rescue operation and look at every single incredible piece.
It all kicks off with one single catastrophic event. Imagine this. A two-person F-15E crew, that's a pilot and a weapons systems officer. They're forced to punch out at high speed right over hostile territory. For them, the mission is over, but their fight for survival, that's just getting started. So what really happens in those first few seconds, minutes, and hours? I mean, how do you even begin to find two people in a massive, dangerous landscape, especially when you know the enemy is out there looking for them too? This isn't just about sending out a search party. It's a full-on multi-domain war where information and time are everything.
Okay, first things first. We have to wrap our heads around the sheer violence of just getting out of the jet. This isn't like pulling a simple handle. It is a pyrotechnic, perfectly timed chain reaction that's designed to cheat death in a situation where physics pretty much says you shouldn't survive.
The logic here is just fascinating, and it's absolutely life or death. In a two-seater like this, the WSO in the back has to go first. Any idea why? Well, think about it. If the pilot in the front went first, the rocket motor on his seat would literally fry the person behind him. The whole thing is this incredibly precise, life-saving ballet of explosions.
And this is the speed they're launched into, 500 knots. That's nearly 600 miles per hour. At that kind of speed, your body is hit with such extreme force that it can shatter bones. So the system isn't just designed to get you out, it's designed to get you out in one piece.
This quote just captures it perfectly. Hitting the air at that speed is like running into a solid brick wall. To stop the seat from tumbling, which would be lethal, it immediately deploys this small drogue chute. Now, this isn't to slow the fall way down, not yet. It's just to stabilize the seat and make sure the survivor can actually descend safely.
So once they're on the ground, the whole mission resets. The crew aren't pilots anymore. The system calls them isolated survival nodes, basically people stuck inside a live detection grid. And right away, they face a huge life-or-death decision.
And this is the dilemma. Their radios are designed to send out these tiny, encrypted, whispered data bursts to make them hard to detect. But every single transmission carries this immense risk. Enemy Signals Intelligence, SIGINT, they're always listening. And they don't even need to decode the message. All they have to do is get a blip of that signal from a few different locations, and bam, they can triangulate a position. So do you transmit and risk capture, or do you stay silent and risk never being found at all? This is where the pilot's most important weapon system kicks in. And it's not a piece of gear, it's their training. CSAR training. It dictates every single move, every decision, and it's what turns a potential target into a hard-to-find, low-observable human sensor.
And this training is all about strategy. CSAR isn't just about hiding behind a bush, it's about long-term evasion. Rule number 1, get away from the crash site, fast. The parachute, the seat, they're basically giant find me here signs for the enemy. From there, it's a constant game of risk assessment. Do I climb that hill to get a better signal out, or do I stay down in this ditch where I have better cover? It's a mental and physical marathon, and sometimes it's supported by something as simple as a blood chit, a little piece of fabric that promises a big reward to any local who helps them out.
All right, so while our survivor is on the ground doing everything they can to stay hidden, that very first beacon they sent out has activated the invisible machine. Now we zoom out, way out, from the individual on the ground to a massive multi-domain system built for one single purpose, getting them back. The official name for this is CSAR, Combat Search and Rescue. But trust me, it's so much more than just a few helicopters. It's an entire architecture of assets, reaching all the way from space down into the mud.
Really, the best way to think about it is like a layered cake of protection. Each layer has a totally different job, but they're all working together in perfect sync. So let's break these down, starting from the very top.
It all starts in space. Satellites get the very first ping from the emergency beacon. And from there, they can immediately start using high-res imagery to watch what the enemy is doing on the ground, giving the command team their first critical look at the whole chessboard.
Right below the satellites, you've got the top cover. We're talking stealth fighters like the F-35, whose job it is to make sure the skies are clear of any enemy aircraft. At the same time, you have ISR platforms, like drones, creating this persistent bubble of surveillance. They're watching the survivor, tracking threats, and basically cutting through the fog of war.
Now, the brain of the whole operation is the MC-130J Commando 2.
It's basically a flying command post. It juggles all the data links, all the communications, but maybe its most critical job is acting as a flying gas station. It can refuel the rescue helicopters in midair, which means they can stay on station for hours, extending the search way beyond what they could normally do.
So all of these layers, all this incredible technology, it might have been working for hours, maybe even days, to create just one thing, a window. A very brief, very high-risk window of opportunity to go in and get the survivor out. The on-scene commander for this final kinetic part of the mission is traditionally a flight of A-10 Warthogs. Their call sign is Sandy, and their job is brutally simple: create a kinetic buffer zone. They are the survivors' flying bodyguards, and they are ready to eliminate any threat that tries to get in the way of the rescue. This final phase happens with incredible speed. With 30 minutes to go, the Sandy flight is clearing the area. At 10 minutes out, the HH-60W rescue helicopter dives in, flying nap of the Earth, using the terrain as a shield. And then, in those last 2 minutes, the most important link in the entire chain is made. And that link is the pararescue jumper, the PJ. This is a Tier 1 special operator who is also a highly advanced combat medic. That entire multi-billion-dollar system of satellites and stealth jets and command planes, it all exists for just those few minutes it takes to put one PJ on the ground and get the survivor on the hoist.
So, you have to ask, why? Why this monumental effort? Why risk so many other lives, so many expensive assets, all for just 1 or 2 people on the ground? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental military philosophy.
The thinking here is crystal clear. Losing a jet is a hardware loss. You can build another one. But losing a pilot? That's seen as a systemic failure. Because the most valuable, most irreplaceable system isn't the multi-million-dollar aircraft, it's the highly trained human being in the cockpit.
The whole CSAR system is, at its heart, the ultimate guarantee. It is a promise that says, no matter how deep you are, no matter what the threat is, this incredible, invisible machine will reach across every domain imaginable, from space right down to the ground, to bring you home. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. What is the true price, in both risk and resources, of keeping a promise like that?